Have you ever noticed how some days your intuition is razor sharp? You can feel every shift in an energetic field. Your hands are on fire with Reiki, and your channel feels wide open. But other days, there's just nothing. It feels like absolute static. You scan a client or try to do self-healing, and you can't tell if what you're feeling is a genuine psychic hit or just your own anxious thoughts. Most spiritual seekers look at those dry spells and think they've somehow lost their connection. They think they've been disconnected from Source, or that they have a spiritual block they need to perform some complex ritual to fix. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have a connection problem. You have a tuning problem. Your spiritual gifts, your intuition, and your capacity to channel life force energy do not operate like a light switch that you can just flick on and off at will. You cannot spend your entire day rushing through traffic, stressing over emails, slamming caffeine, and running on survival mode, and then step up to the altar and expect to instantly channel a pristine, crystal clear cosmic frequency. Why? Because your nervous system is a continuous living antenna. It is running 24 hours a day, and if your physical biology is warped by a state of survival, the spiritual data you receive will be completely distorted by static. You cannot accurately read the unseen world when your biology is terrified of the seen world. Today we are mapping the wiring. Welcome to the nervous system grid. To understand how this grid works, we have to look at the three primary settings of your nervous system antenna. The first setting is what modern trauma biology calls the sympathetic state, but you probably know it as the fight or flight response. When you are in a sympathetic spike, your physiology prepares to battle a predator or run for your life. Your heart rate increases, your muscles brace, your breath moves into your shallow upper chest, and your perception narrows into intense tunnel vision. Now look at what happens esoterically when a practitioner tries to work from this space. Because the body feels threatened, its energy field doesn't ground down. Instead, it expands outward frantically. It becomes hypervigilant, scanning the horizon for danger. If you step into any energetic healing session while your antenna is tuned into this sympathetic frequency, you're going to contaminate the room. Because your system is looking for a threat, you will project your own biological anxiety onto the client. You will scan their field, feel a pocket of dense energy, and your terrified nervous system will instantly label it as a psychic attack or dark entity. How many times have you heard healers complaining about absorbing dark, heavy energies from their clients? 9 times out of 10, that isn't a spiritual attack. It is simply a sympathetic practitioner whose own body is so stressed out that it perceives everything as a threat. When your wiring is running hot on survival adrenaline, your spiritual sight is blind. You aren't reading the client's truth. You are just reading your own panic. Now, on the exact opposite side of this grid, we have the second survival setting, the dorsal shutdown, or the freeze state. This happens when your nervous system determines that the stress is too high, the trauma is too deep, or the exhaustion is too overwhelming to fight or run. So, to protect you from overloading, your biology flips the main circuit breaker. It shuts down the system. Your heart rate drops, your metabolism slows, and you go physically and emotionally and even spiritually numb. When a practitioner is stuck in a dorsal freeze, they feel completely disconnected. They step up to the table, they place their hands on a client or on their own body, and they feel absolutely nothing. No heat, no tingling, no currents. The immediate trap here is that the mind panics and says, I've lost my power. But you haven't lost your power. Your body has just wrapped your antenna in a thick, wet blanket of numbness to keep your circuits from frying even further. If you try to force the energy to move while your biology is in a freeze state, you are just spinning your wheels in the mud. You cannot force a dead battery to run a high-voltage motor. You have to bring safety back to the tissues first. Now this brings us to the third setting, the only setting where true, flawless spiritual architecture can be built. This is the ventral vagal state. This is the frequency of safety, connection, and absolute presence. When your antenna is anchored in the ventral state, your physiology shifts, your heart rate stabilizes, your breath drops effortlessly down into your lower abdomen, your jaw relaxes, and your field of perception widens from tunnel vision into a full 360-degree awareness. In the ventral state, the static on your antenna completely vanishes. This is the frequency of the sovereign architect, because your body vessel knows it is completely safe. It stops projecting its own fears into the room. You can look at a client's deepest, darkest ancestral trauma, and it doesn't trigger you. It doesn't scare your body into a brace. You can hold space for the heaviest alchemical descent because your wiring is clear, grounded, and cool. True clairsentience, precise energetic scanning, and clean conduction only happen here in this space. You aren't guessing anymore. You aren't hallucinating based on your anxiety. You are reading the energetic architecture of reality exactly as it is. So the question isn't, how do I become more spiritual? The question is, how do I deliberately shift my physical antenna out of survival static and into the ventral anchor? We don't do it by thinking about it. We do it by speaking directly to the nerves. We do it through a physical calibration. So let's clean your antenna right now. Wherever you are, if you are somewhere safe, let's calibrate the grid. Sit up straight. Let your spine comfortably hold its own weight, and let your shoulders drop. Without moving your head, keep your nose pointing straight forward. I want you to shift your eyes all the way to the right. Stretch your eyes as far to the right edge of your sockets as they can possibly go. Hold them there. Don't force it. Just hold the gaze. Keep your face relaxed. Breathe naturally, letting the air move deep into your belly. Keep holding those eyes to the right. Just watch what happens. Now keep holding until you feel a sudden spontaneous yawn, a sigh, or a deep involuntary swallow. There it is. That is your nervous and vagus nerve sending a physical signal to your primitive brain that the threat is gone. It is flipping the switch back to safety. Now bring your eyes back to the center and reset. Keep your head perfectly still and shift your eyes all the way to the left. Stretch them to the absolute left edge of your vision. Hold them there on the boundary. Breathe into the back of your rib cage and wait for the system to drop. Wait for the physical sigh or the release. Good. Bring your eyes back to the middle. Soften your gaze. Notice the immediate physical shift. Notice how the space behind your eyes suddenly feels wider, cooler, and completely still. The mental loop has paused. The static is gone. The antenna is tuned. Step into your power from this clearing. In our next episode, we are going to talk and take this tuned antenna and apply it directly to the tissue. We are diving into somatic Reiki and I'm going to show you the exact mechanics of how to decouple stored trauma from your cellular memory. Until then, stay in your bones. Peace.